Dr. Boulez's housekeeper says you just happened to walk in just as he was having his heart attack. Is that true?
Indeed it is. I hadn't seen him for a while, so I picked that day to pay him a visit. I walked up to the front door, found it unlocked as usual, opened it, and there he was, lying on the floor in obvious distress. The next thing I know, his housekeeper came running in and started shrieking and carrying on, until finally I sent her out of the room so she could summon an ambulance, and I could once again hear myself think. Well, let's see. Then I knelt down and saw that he wasn't breathing. So I pulled him away from the doorway so I'd have more room to work on him and began chest compressions. I continued until the medics arrived, but nothing they did made a difference either.
Why would he have a heart attack in the foyer?
That's always been a bit of a puzzlement to me, too.
Can you remember anything that might indicate what he was doing by the front door? I mean, had he just come in from a walk? Was he wearing a hat? Was he holding anything? Had he dropped something? An umbrella? Sunglasses?
Wait a minute. Why, yes, he was holding something. A piece of paper. And on the floor next to him was an envelope. He must have collapsed while reading a letter.
Do you know what happened to it?
Now, I know the letter was no longer in Bruno's hand when the paramedics arrived, so perhaps he released the letter when I moved him. And yet, I do not recall seeing it on the floor when they wheeled him out the door. Iggy.
What's Icky?
Iggy. Iggy is an iguana Bruno befriended, then turned loose in his home. It soon developed the annoying habit of stealing paper and stockpiling it in the vent system.
Did you see Iggy while you were tending to Bruno that day?
No, but then I rarely ever saw Iggy. Moreover, it would not have been the first time a missing document ended up in Iggy's possession. Renee would periodically call me saying the lizard had absconded with one of Bruno's prescriptions and would I please write her up a replacement. In any case, Bruno once told me he was training Iggy. Said he taught Iggy to retrieve the things it had stolen.
Do you think it's possible that Renee caused Dr. Boulez's death by, say, hoarding the pills from those missing prescriptions and giving them to him all at once?
No. Had he died of an overdose of the medications I had prescribed, the manner of his death would have been quite different. But he died of a heart attack. Of that, I am certain. However, I know for a fact that Renee is deeply involved in the practice of hoodoo. And as Bruno's housekeeper, she had ample opportunity to use it against my poor old friend.
You mean hoodoo really works?
Young lady, never, ever underestimate the power of suggestion. If a person believes in something, even on a subconscious level, fantasy can easily become fact. And who knows what rubbish Renee filled Bruno's mind with? Drink this, don't eat that. This brings good luck, that brings bad, day in and day out. Even if he said he didn't believe a word of it, who knows how much his subconscious was absorbing? He was very old and vulnerable. So could Renee have caused Bruno to have that fatal heart attack? There's not a doubt in my mind she could indeed.
I hear that you're a member of the Jolly Rogers crew. Is that true?
Perhaps I am. Perhaps I am not. I'm sure someone as charming and attractive as yourself has her share of secrets, too. Am I right?
Be that as it may, just what is a crew?
Crews are organizations whose primary purpose is to put on parades during Mardi Gras. They also put on fabulous parties. Very private parties. Members only. Some consider crews to be private clubs. Secret societies is a term others have used. However, back in the 1990s, the city decided not to issue the Jolly Rogers any more parade permits, unless they opened their crew to pretty much anyone who wanted to join. So, refusing to be blackmailed, they chose instead to simply not put on parades anymore. As far as the city is concerned, the Jolly Rogers no longer exist.
Was Bruno Bollet a Jolly Roger too?
Perhaps. Perhaps not.
Did Dr. Bollet ever say anything to you about owning a crystal skull?
Why, yes. Yes, he did. In fact, he showed it to me once. Said it had magical powers. Said owning it was going to allow him to live forever. I thought it was utter nonsense and told him so. Well, he didn't appreciate that at all. Refused to talk to me for a full 2 weeks.
What'd the skull look like?
It was quite beautiful, actually. Life-size, perfect in form and clarity, like a diamond almost. Tell me, Miss Bess, what do you know about that crystal skull?
This friend of mine, who is also a friend of Henry Bollet, you know, Dr. Bollet's great-nephew. Anyway, while she was visiting Henry, she saw this book in Bruno's library about the legendary crystal skulls and was kind of intrigued and thought that since Henry said that you were pretty much Bruno's only friend, maybe Bruno had said something to you about it, and as it turns out, he had. That's all I know.
I see. Well, much as I'd like to believe that skull holds the key to immortality, I'm afraid Bruno's passing proves it's worthless. Although it would make an attractive paperweight, as I recall. Tell your friend not to give it another thought.
Guess I'll be running along.
Feel free to drop by anytime.
Done. I can check that off. Did that. I can check that off. I can check that off.
Hello?
Bess here. Oops. Looks like Dr. Buford decided he's had enough gumbo.
He's not at Granny Pumpkin's anymore?
Nope. But here's what else I've learned since I talked to you last.
And that's all she wrote.
Excellent. Thanks for the report.
Stay in touch. See ya!
Still have to do that. All done. Can't check that off yet.
Yes?
Do you think I could borrow your keychain? The one that has Bruno's glass eye on it?
You want to borrow it? What for?
Actually, all I really want is the eye. I mean, it's just so cool.
What if you break it?
I won't. I'll be really careful, I promise.
I don't think I want to take that chance. Sorry.
The box of your great-uncle's things that you sold to Zeke's curio shop, that was a no-no, wasn't it?
What box of things? I don't know what you're talking about.
The guy who owns the shop said you sold him a box of assorted items. I am assuming they used to be Bruno's.
Well, somebody screwed up somewhere because I haven't sold anything to anybody. Why would I sell one lousy box of stuff when I'm about to inherit a whole house full of stuff? Get real.
You sold it because you needed some quick cash in order to keep Summer happy, didn't you?
How do you know about her?
Playing detective is actually a lot more than a hobby with me. I could make a lot of trouble for you, Henry, but if you come clean, tell me about Summer.
She's this girl I'm in love with. I think she loves me back, but she's so unpredictable, it drives me nuts.
How is she unpredictable?
I never know what's gonna make her happy. Like, just before I left, I took practically every bit of cash I had and bought her a bunch of CDs. You know, to keep her occupied while I was gone, right? Well, soon as I get here, she calls and says her sound system just went bluey, and I had to buy her a new one, because what good were the CDs I bought her if she couldn't play them? So then
you threw a bunch of Bruno's things into a box and sold it to that curio shop.
Yeah, I wired her the money, but then she called and said she also needed new headphones. Next call, it was new speakers. And now she expects me to buy her a flat-screen TV. When I try to talk to her about always wanting more like that, she gets really mad. But I'm afraid if I don't give her what she wants, I'm afraid she'll dump me. And I couldn't take that. I mean, she's the only girlfriend I've ever had. Ever will have, probably. Look, you don't need to go telling Renee or any of those lawyers about selling that stuff, right?
I guess I could just forget all about it. Especially if you were to, say, do something for me.
I know. You still want the glass eye? Take it. Go ahead. It's all yours. You want something, I want something. Take it and we're even, okay?
Well, it's not like you sold off half the estate or anything.
$300. That's all I've gotten out of his estate. I swear. Go on, take it. I was naughty, but from now on I'll be nice, I promise.
Did you know that Bruno was a member of a group called the Jolly Rogers?
No. Should I care?
Maybe not, but I care. They apparently ran around wearing skeleton man costumes.
Don't know anything about it, sorry.
Do you know anything about the crystal skull that was in that box of junk you sold to Zeke's?
There wasn't any crystal skull in that box.
Are you sure? It would have been inside another box.
Well, I did throw in some smaller boxes. Like I said, I was just grabbing stuff. Was it valuable?
All I really know for sure right now is that it's missing.
Great. Be just my luck to have sold something that wasn't junk to that glorified trash collector.
I'll stop bugging you now.
Awesome.
Hello again.
That shovel over there with the interesting handle, do you think I could borrow it?
Dr. Bolay took great interest in that shovel. Don't know why. He never used it. Just like to see it hanging there. Me, I use it to dig up roots.
You mean like tree roots?
No, I mean roots like tannus, black cohosh, valerian. Roots that in the right hands are very special, very powerful. However, right now I need mushrooms. I was hoping to get 'em picked tonight, but from the looks of all this potting I still have to do...
I'd be happy to pick them for you.
Why, what a generous offer. All right, then. I need 5 painted conchs. They're mushrooms that have got a short, fat stem and a large bell-shaped cap covered with big red dots. You might find 1 or 2 here in the garden, but you'll have better luck in the boggy part of the cemetery. You get me 5, no more, no less, and I'll let you borrow that shovel.
Deal.
You can put 'em in this bag. How else may I be of service to you?
I'll see you later.
Thanks for coming by.
This has got to be a painted conch. Another painted conch. Yes!
did you pick me those mushrooms yet?
Sure did.
Well, bless your heart, you did it.
Actually, picking the one growing on the log sticking out of the swamp was a little hairy.
Oh, my. I forgot to warn you about Bernie, didn't I?
If by Bernie you mean the alligator that almost had me for dinner, yeah, you did.
He's another one of Dr. Beaulay's pets. He'd kick that log to get Bernie's attention, then feed him marshmallows. Problem is, now that gator leaps up and snaps every time someone so much as touches that log. I should have said something, but I've gotten so used to Bernie, I just plain forgot. Anyway, feel free to help yourself to that shovel. You earned it.
Nice talking to you.
Take care, hon.
Iggy, how about a nice, juicy loquat? All done. Check. All done. Did that.
Hey, Nancy. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Meaning...
Are you familiar with the legend of the so-called crystal skulls?
Is that where aliens supposedly scattered a bunch of perfectly formed crystal skulls all around the world like thousands of years ago? And all the skulls have different magical powers?
Something like that, yeah. Apparently, Henry's uncle was the proud owner of the Whisperer, the skull that was supposed to make whoever owned it live forever.
Only now he's dead and another superstition bites the dust.
Maybe, maybe not. See, this book I found in Bruno's library said no one who has owned the Whisperer has ever died of natural causes.
So how did they die?
They were all murdered.
Come on, you don't believe that crystal skull stuff is true, do you?
I'm not sure what I believe yet. But right now, what I think doesn't matter. The people who knew Bruno had the skull, if one of them believed in the Whisperer's power, they may have figured the only way they'd ever be rid of Bruno was to cause his death.
But didn't he die of a stroke or something?
Heart attack.
Well, there you go. Natural causes.
Heart attacks can be induced.
You've been watching too many of those forensic detective shows.
That may be, but what's really interesting is the skull is missing.
That is interesting.
And I'll bet you anything that's what my bony friend in the red ascot was looking for.
Does Henry know where the skull is?
He doesn't know anything about it. At least that's what he says. But if that skull is still around here, I intend to find it.
I kind of figured that.
Henry confessed that he sold off some of Bruno's things because he needed money to keep his girlfriend Summer happy.
She's high maintenance, huh?
Extremely. You're so lucky.
Hey, don't I know it. Think he sold off the crystal skull?
I don't think so, no. He acts like he's never heard of the Crystal Skull.
And so the search goes on.
Get this, costumes.
Say what?